All right, so Simba runs away from the kingdom out into the desert. Now why is that? Well, you remember, and maybe you don't know it, the story of Exodus, when Moses takes the Hebrews out of Egypt. They end up in a desert. Well, why? Well, it's because when you leave a kingdom, no matter how tyrannical, you still fall into disorder. You're out in a place that's desert. There's no civilization there. You know, that's what happened to Iraq after the Americans went in. You know, the Americans, the neocons, were all convinced that the Iraqis would welcome them with open arms and there would be this smooth transition to democracy. Same idea in Libya. It's like, no, that's not what happens. What happens is the state devolves into a desert chaos. And maybe then you can make order, but probably not. And so Simba has left the kingdom, and the first thing that happens is he damn near dies in the desert. And so, you know, if you have an old belief system and it's not working very well and you abandon it, well, good for you, because you're out of the old belief system, but now you're nowhere. One of the things that happens to alcoholics, for example, and other drug addicts as well. So imagine that you're trying to stop drinking. All right, fine. Maybe you have to undergo some medical treatment so when you first stop you don't die of seizures, because that often happens to people who are addicted to alcohol. So and they get Valium or something like that from a doctor to see them through the first bits of what do you call it, of sobering up. And so they get through it, and then maybe 2 weeks later they're not physiologically dependent on alcohol anymore. The same thing is true of cocaine. But if you take them back and you put them in their environment, say they go back out of the treatment center, back into the normal world, they start drinking or using right away again. And the reason for that is that, well, let's say you've been an alcoholic for 20 years. Okay, first of all, that's all you do for entertainment. You drink. And all your friends are alcoholics, right? And so, if you're going to stop drinking, not only do you have to rid yourself of the physiological addiction, but you have to completely learn a new way of living. Because what do you know? You have to get rid of all your friends because they're all drunks, pretty much. Or if they're not, they're at least people who are facilitating your drinking. So you have to build a whole new social network. You don't know how to amuse yourself because, of course, the way you've done that is by going to the bar, sitting at home drinking. And so there's a huge hole in your life. You abandon the previous pathological mode of adaptation. But that just leaves you with nothing. And then you have to rebuild that thing from scratch. It's extraordinarily difficult, and that's why so many people fail when they're trying to overcome a major addiction. So